Today we talk new games available on Nintendo Switch, Mario 64 gets the LEGO treatment, and we rank the 3D Zelda games. All that and more on today's edition of Mii Weekly. Let's do this! Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Mii Weekly, this time for Friday, September 10th, 2021. I'm Hero TJ with Nintendo Wire, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. Thanks for joining me. Let's kick this episode off with new games, now available on Nintendo Switch. Releasing today, WarioWare Get It Together. There's currently a free demo available on the Nintendo eShop. I already downloaded it, gave it a whirl, I know a lot of you did too. This game's right up my alley, it's currently downloading on my Switch as we speak. I do get games a little bit later over here in the Taiwan time zone, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but you can bet that's my first stop as soon as we finish up here. WarioWare Get It Together is available now for $49.99. Also available now, Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. This is of course based on the super popular Rocky franchise. Well, I guess more specifically the Creed franchise, but Creed is an offshoot of the Rocky franchise and it does feature a lot of the classic Rocky characters, like of course Rocky himself, Clubber Lang, I pity the fool, and of course the original Creed, Apollo. Now I love me some arcade style fighting games, but this one looks like it might straddle the line between arcade and realistic a little too much. I don't know if this makes sense, but it doesn't look like it would feel good to play. There was a Rocky boxing game that came out for the GameCube. I bought it, I played it, I got good at it, I worked around the jank, but my tolerance for janky controls has definitely diminished over the years. I love this film franchise, and I love these characters, but not enough to suffer through a painful gaming experience. When it comes to boxing games, Punch-Out sets the standard for me, and I am experiencing severe Punch-Out withdrawal, but I'm not so sure Creed Champions would scratch that itch. If I'm being honest with myself, I'm almost definitely gonna buy this game, but I'm probably gonna wait for a sale. But if you're a little bit more anxious than me, you can pick it up right now for $39.99. And hey, if you do, let me know how it is. Also, newly available as of this week, Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Switch. I reported on this a while back when it was first announced in a Sega showcase, and at the time I thought it looked great. I never played Sonic Colors, so I thought for sure I'd be picking it up for Nintendo Switch, but now that it's available, I guess Sonic's lost a little steam for me. Probably mostly because I'm fairly well entertained by the other games that are out. Maybe I will pick it up down the line. Reviews have been generally fairly positive. If you want to re-experience Sonic Colors or experience it for the first time on Nintendo Switch, you can pick it up now for $39.99. And on the Nintendo toy front, it looks like Nintendo has another collaboration with LEGO, this time bringing to life a few popular levels from the Nintendo 64 title, Mario 64. This obviously isn't Nintendo's first collaboration with LEGO, but it is quite a bit different than what we've seen before. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of Mario Legos, and unfortunately for me, they've really fallen flat. I've complained on this show before about how overly complex the sets are and how easily the characters and pieces fall apart, making it not really so fun for the target audience, of which I have 3. So I'm definitely gonna take a pass on this weirdly overcomplicated looking construction piece with somewhat offensively oversimplified characters. Maybe I'm being a little too critical, but I'm not really too sure what they were going for with this one. I haven't seen a confirmed price point as of yet, but I think we can safely estimate it's in the range of expensive. Now playing! Lately, I've made a pretty regular habit of popping into Tetris 99 pretty much every day. There are these daily challenges where if you complete them, you get a ticket, and if you get enough tickets, you can buy a new theme. And the themes are kind of awesome. I started out with the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword theme, because that was the jumping in point for me with Tetris 99, and frankly, I didn't expect to like the game so much. I can't honestly say that I'm getting any better at it. Occasionally, I'll crack the top 10, but it's just as likely I could be one of the first 10 eliminated. But having these little daily challenges is a fun way to just jump in, and having the themes to collect is something exciting to work towards. Most recently, I unlocked the Paper Mario theme, as requested by my middle son, and there's just something so charming about the different backgrounds and the way that they depict the different Tetris pieces to suit the different themes. I also managed to nab the Luigi's Mansion one, and I think next on my list is gonna be Ring Fit. This episode's Spirit of the Week comes from DragonNJMB. We're looking at number 270, Fusion Suit, from the Metroid series. The Fusion Suit makes its first appearance in Metroid Fusion, and the following description comes from MetroidWiki.org. The link can be found below. The Fusion Suit is the result of drastic alterations made to Samus's power suit during the removal of parts infected by the X-Parasite, and Samus is injected with Vaccine Metroid. Fusion is a reference to Samus's fusion with Metroid cells. The Fusion Suit is less bulky than the original power suit, allowing Samus to climb on ledges without the power grip, but also much weaker than the original power suit. The most important advantage of the fusion suit is Samus's exclusive immunity to the X, allowing her to absorb them and gain their energy and abilities rather than be damaged by them. Should you equip the fusion suit spirit, it'll power up shooting items. You can summon the fusion suit spirit by combining cores from Metroid and Chozo statue spirits. Thanks to DragonNJMB for the suggestion. If there's a spirit you'd like to see as the spirit of the week, please let me know in the comments below, and if yours is selected, you'll be recognized in the episode with an on-screen credit, just like DragonNJMB. Now it's time to sound off. In last week's edition, we ranked all the 3D Mario titles. Thanks to everyone who participated in the comments section. It was a blast to read your different opinions. And as promised, today, we're gonna rank the 3D Zelda games. At first I thought it was my Mario opinions that would be stirring up some controversy, but after I finished ranking the Zelda games, I think maybe some of these might even be more unpopular. So before we start, I want to give you a little insight into my process. I based my rankings on the experience of playing the games at the time I played them, and how fondly I hold that experience in my memory. I'm not doing a side-by-side comparison of the games as they are today. You are, of course, free to rank the games according to your own criteria. Also, I'm not going to include a Link Between Worlds or Triforce Heroes, even though they are quite literally 3D, arguably more 3D than any of the other Zelda games, but because they play more like a top-down Zelda, I'm not going to take them into consideration for my list. I am, however, going to include Hyrule Warriors. And I also want to clarify that The Legend of Zelda is by far, bar none, my favorite video game series. The game that ranks last on this list still cracks the top 10 of my favorite games of all time, so bear that in mind. And finally, nearly every one of these games have been remade or appear on multiple consoles. I'm not going to draw a distinction here for the purposes of this list. I'm simply basing my opinions on whichever version or versions I happen to have played. Alright, here we go. Number 8, Wind Waker. This game has so much character and personality. I love the cel-shaded look, and I find the character designs charming, but the minimalistic design, reduction of detail, and deformed proportions of the characters make it the least visually arresting. And while the story is captivating and surprising, the sea is a cruel mistress, and I spent an inordinate amount of time hopelessly lost and sailing aimlessly. Number 7, Skyward Sword. This was a very uneven experience for me. The side quests and repetitive format failed to resonate with me, but the story depth and character development is a series high. When the controls worked, Skyward Sword boasts some of the deepest immersion of any Zelda game, but when they don't, it's by far the most frustrating. Number 6, Age of Calamity. This game has the advantage of revisiting a period in Zelda lore that I personally felt was not fully exploited in its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. To explore Hyrule's past by assuming control of a whole host of characters I had come to care for immensely went a long way to making this game an unforgettable and cathartic experience. While I appreciate it for what it is, at the same time, I can't help but lament what it isn't. As I came to realize during my time with the game, the proposition of living out the Great Calamity as it came to pass in Breath of the Wild was little more than a shallow marketing misdirect. And while I do love what the game actually gave me, I still long for the unfulfilled promise of what might have been. Number 5, Twilight Princess. This game sees Link transformed into a beast, and we're not talking some diminutive pink bunny like A Link to the Past, but rather a dark and agile wolf, fundamentally changing the way he could interact with his environment. The general combat, dungeons, and bosses stand out, and I really like the character designs. I did find myself unable to connect with most of the supporting characters, even to the point of disliking many of them. And while I appreciate the grittier medieval vibe, some of the cutscenes straight up get weird and are a little too cryptic and nebulous for my liking. Number 4, Ocarina of Time. If there was ever an example of a perfect game, this would be the one I would point to. If I was making a more objective list and not one based primarily on my own enjoyment, I failed to think of a game that could unseat Ocarina of Time for me. As the first 3D Zelda, it set the standard for all others to follow, and while some have managed to recapture moments of this game's magic, and even supersede it in some areas, Ocarina of Time maintains the most consistent quality of experience throughout. The intrinsic musical components, combined with a compelling time travel mechanic that allowed players to assume control of Link both as a child and adult, left an indelible impression on me. Factor in the varied and immersive dungeons, each with their own unique theme, and it's no wonder Nintendo has been chasing the standard set by this game ever since. Number 3, Majora's Mask. As an iterative experience, Majora's Mask enjoys all the goodwill established by its immediate predecessor, Ocarina of Time. All I wanted after finishing Ocarina of Time was more Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask made good on that in some obvious ways, but also created something excitingly different with a deep, complex game loop that required me to develop intimate knowledge of every character in the land land of Termina. The ability to transform Link into a Deku Scrub, Goron, and Zora opened up a whole new way to solve puzzles and explore the world, and the ticking time bomb of Termina's moon presented a constant looming threat. The showdown with Skull Kid and Majora is the only final boss encounter in the series I would consider on equal footing with Ganon. This game also introduces my all-time favorite iteration of Link, Fierce Deity. Number 2, Hyrule Warriors. Now this one's gonna get some of you scratching your heads, and I'm not trying to be controversial here, but my favorite aspect of any Zelda game is the combat, and Hyrule Warriors distills the Zelda experience into a fast-paced, combat-driven, superfan dream come true. Not only does it feature, in my opinion, the best versions of Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Impa, and Sheik from a character design standpoint, but you can play as all of them, and then some, each with their own unique playstyle. Assuming control of Zelda and Ganondorf was a dream of mine since I was 7. Smash Bros. Gave me a small sampling, but Hyrule Warriors was a feast. Some have criticized the story for being shallow or a cliche. Well, regardless, I ate it up. And number 1, Breath of the Wild. This game recaptured the thrill of exploration that I hadn't felt since the first Legend of Zelda game on the NES. You never knew what you were going to encounter. Dangers and surprises lurked around every corner of this meticulously crafted world. Deposit me anywhere on the map at any point in the game, and there's a fun adventure waiting. I'm not particularly interested in the premise of advanced tech, personally preferring medieval fantasy to sci-fi, and I enjoyed crawling the overworld far more than the sterile shrines and abominable divine beasts. That notwithstanding, the countless hours of thrilling open exploration secures this title at the top for me. But that's just my opinion. Now it's time to make with the opinion that matters the most, yours. Don't be shy, go ahead and leave your list in the comment section below, ranking the 3D Zelda titles. And that's a wrap on another edition of Mii Weekly. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I had a really good time, and I'm really glad you were here. Allow me to welcome you back next Friday, and we'll do it all again. Until then, this is Hero TJ signing out. Thanks for playing.